Let's start by fixing our progress bar here. This doesn't look good. What we need to do, I can just go ahead right inside here. I'm going to say progress bar dot set visibility to invisible right away. Okay, because we want that to happen right when we hit. Because we want that to happen right. Because we want to set this visible when we hit save. All right. Very good. If I go ahead and restart real quick here, I think we should be able to. There we go. Now you can see we don't see our progress bar going on and on. Next thing, let's go make sure that our proportions are correct here, because we have lost here our button. Let's go back to our post here. Okay, get rid of that. And let's go to text here. I'm going to go to this button. What we can do, I can say, I'm going to add here constraint, bottom of, parent, like that. There we go. So it just goes to the bottom of the parent. Save and see if this is going to help our case. There we go. It's much better. So that will make it so that every time it's going to be at the bottom of the parent and not just pushed down depending on the constraints we've added. All right, that's looking really good. I think this image is a little bit too big. I'm going to just make it a little bit smaller like this. Move that. Let's move these guys a little bit to the top. All right, there we go. Small differences there, but nevertheless, that looks really good. Maybe like that is better. Take a quick look here. Okay, so move that a little bit. That's not bad. And let's solve this issue with our image view where we still keep seeing our trouble here. This, instead of background, I'm gonna make it a source. So that way it's just something that is behind everything, right? That way when we add an actual background, an actual image is gonna be on top and remove whatever was behind there. So that's the best way to do that. And looks like because we did that, we changed a few things. Not to worry. Let's move that back to the top. There we go. Small changes here and there. Very good. All right, so we should be good at this point. So now we're going to go ahead and create a save journal. So I'm going here called save journal method. Okay, we have our method save journal. There we go. All right, so what are we going to do here? Well, first of all, we're going to go ahead and get the text views, right? Because we need to get the title and the thoughts. We already have our image, right? So let's do that. Okay, I'm going to say string title. I'm going to say title edit text dot get text dot to string. And I like to trim it, all the extra fat that we don't need. Say string thoughts is equal edit text get text to string. Also use the trim method. Now I'm going to say if I'm going to use the convenient text utils that is empty. I'm going to pass title and text utils as well. That is empty. Thoughts. And I want to make sure that our image URI is not null, right? Because we want to make sure that they send an image as well. Very good. If that's the case, I'm going to put an else statement there. So if that's the case, then we're good to go, which means we can now upload things. But when we upload things in general here, we need to be careful here. So what is it that we are trying to do? So when we save a journal, there's two things that are happening. First is we are creating the actual journal, meaning the actual text, edit text, so the title and the thoughts, and we put that in one place, right? In this case, it's going to be inside of our journal. Let's go back to our, we'll have another collection called journal here, which will have the journal and all the information about the journal, right? But the next thing we need to do is also get this image, right, that we added and put somewhere else, because we can't put the image in the same place where we put our collection. That's why we have these entities. We have the authentication database and we have storage, right? That's why we have this. So in storage, that's where we're going to store the image, and then we're going to get that link of that image, because Firebase is going to create a link which we can then fetch that link and then show that image, if that makes any sense. But as far as the user is concerned, everything works seamlessly. But us, the developers, are the ones who have to craft the whole system, how things work. And that's how Firebase and Firestore work. So everything is compartmentalized. The data is compartmentalized. Okay, let's put all these pieces together. So the first thing we need to do is, of course, to create the actual object that we want to take care of the image. We need to post that image to our storage reference. To do that, inside here, I'm going to go ahead and say storage. I'm going to create a new storage reference. I'm going to name this file path is equal to storage reference we had before, we created earlier. I'm going to create a child. That child, I mean, it's just a path, right? And I'm going to call this journal underscore, let's see, images as such. At this point here, I've created a path, meaning at this point, I would have something journal images. So it's going to be a folder here called journal images. Now, I need to create the actual file image. Simply, we're going to have to create another child. This child here now is the path to the image, the actual image. Now, when we create this image, each image will have this child, which is also a name of that image. So in this case here, what we're trying to do, let me do a quick example. We're trying to do something like this. Folder journal underscore images, and then we're going to have our image.jpg like this. That's what we're doing here. Now, to create this last part here, we have to be very careful, because these images that we are adding into our storage reference, we need to get them back so that we can show all of them, right? That's the whole idea. For us to actually get this to work, we need to be careful the naming of our images, because if we just put one name, meaning if I say child like this and say my image, it's going to work perfectly. So images are going to be posted and everything is fine. But the problem will be every time we create another post and we store another image, they're all going to have the same name, which means every time that Firebase looks at this storage reference, it's going to go and override the same image, which means we're going to end up with different documents, so different journal documents, which will contain override images. So what will end up happening is that when we start trying to query all of our journals, all of our images, we're going to see that some of them won't have an image because of this very reason. So each image that we add has to have a unique ID. To make things easier, I just append a timestamp, because a timestamp each time is going to be a different time. If I say hello and I wait and say hello again, the first hello was previous, then the second hello. So there is time difference here, because time is always going forward, which means it's going to give us a random timestamp, which is what we need to make sure that each image we add is always unique. Does that make sense? This is a very important piece of information here. This will save you from a lot of headaches. Okay, so at this point here, I can name whatever I want. I can say, and I'm going to put underscore, and I'm going to append the timestamp object from Google Firebase. .now. I'm going to just get seconds like that. So each time we add an image, is going to be something like this: my image underscore, and give some random time every time. Okay, so it's always going to be random, which means I'm going to have an image that has a name that is always different, which is exactly what we want. Very good. So now we have our file path. This file path is what we're actually going to use to put the file into it. So I'm going to say file path dot, there's the put method. Notice the put method here requires a URI. Again, that path that we need to put our image to. We have a URI already, right? So I'm going to say image URI like that. Just like with anything else in Firebase, we're going to attach a onSuccess listener here. So add onSuccess listener, new onSuccess listener. And I'm going to add also a failure because that happens. Add on failure, new on failure. And that's good. So on failure, we always want to go ahead and use our progress and set visibility to invisible. Get rid of that altogether. And of course on success as well. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And the moment we enter here, I'm going to go ahead and make this visible because I want the users to be able to see that things are working, right? So they can see that the progress bar is working. And else, I'm going to also do the same, make that invisible. So at this point here, we have our image. On success, the moment we have our image, this is where we are going to do all the other work, which is we are going to create a journal object here, which we will use a journal model, which we haven't created yet, but that's what we're going to be doing in the next videos. We do that, and also we're gonna, once we have all that done, so we have a journal object, this is where we're gonna go ahead and then invoke our collection reference again, which in this case, it's no longer going to be inside of storage. We're going to go back to our database here so we can create yet another collection here called journal. So we can start adding our journal object. To do and add and save a journal instance. Okay, that's where the magic is going to be. Now you should have some ideas on how to do that because I'm telling you exactly what you need to do. So what we have to do is create a journal object. In this case, you just go ahead and create a journal model class, which will have obviously the title and thoughts, and you can add the date, whatever else you want. And then you go ahead and create a collection reference. In this case, has to be to our collection here. We created before, name it a journal. In fact, you go up here, you'll see our collection. There we go, journal. This is what we're going to be referencing. And then once we do that, go ahead and save one instance of that journal, right, in our collection reference. At this point, that should be fairly easy. All right, go ahead and give that a try, and we'll all do that together in the next video.